You want the answer to the question, don't you? You've seen the thumbnail title. You want to know, would I go back to Formula One? First things first, it's Formula One, not Formula One. When did that shit start? It sounds like a musical version of War of the Worlds. You wouldn't see a formula if it was infant's milk. You wouldn't see a formula if it was a bomb you were making. It's Formula. And it's British Touring Car Championship, not British Touring Car Championships. Okay, the question posed isn't as straightforward as the title suggests. Here's a photo of a classic F1 car I took a while back. And here's another. I took loads of them. Here's a photo of an F1 car that I didn't take. But I did manufacture components that went on there. Just quickly, I still do the odd F1 piece. I'm still hooked up to loads of F1 major departments. Hence the footage that I'm using that was provided copyright free by Aston Martin. It's a great story because my two main championships I cover are BTCC and TCR UK, where Jess raced over the last few years. And of course, showing the TCR UK race last season, first female race winner of a touring car race in the UK. It's great to see one of ours get the chance. But back to the question, and here's where the question diverges into two separate queries. Would I go back to F1 where I worked in composites and as a CNC machine setter? As a photographer and journalist, would F1 appeal to me now in that role? You might have thought from the thumbnail that I worked in F1 as a photographer, but alas no. My work in F1, man, I was over the fucking moon when I first realised I was stepping even only a little bit into that world at the time in a sport that dominated my life. I was proud as fuck. You know what it's like as a fan. You organise everything around it. Weddings, christenings, birthdays, work, drinking. You just don't miss a race, you know what I mean? And I'll tell you what happened. It became a job. The lustre of the sport goes away because it just becomes a job that's no different to working in any other place in the automotive world. Whether it's Nissan, Toyota, Ford, New Holland tractors. Where I was working, it became a job. My love for F1 didn't wane. But frankly, for other places that offered more money for exactly the same skills, so that was a no-brainer to go and do other things. F1 is the reason why I'm a racing journalist and, by extension, a photographer. My first journal photos were made in F1 a few years back. I was leading a project a few years back that got 1 million reads in a season, which wasn't bad for the time. But after gaining my degree in sports journalism, I went off to cover other forms of motorsport that I'd loved. I've always loved racing other than F1, you know. Touring cars, sports cars, junior single-seaters, club racing. And I had the opportunity to photograph them and that came up. And I totally fell in love with the photography side of it. It's almost an accident or an afterthought. But it's given us some fuck-off amazing opportunities, but not F1. But after rambling, I'll have to answer the question, would I go back to F1? Yes. And no. I'd love to photograph Formula One trackside accredited, I really would. But I couldn't and wouldn't want to do it full time for two reasons, or maybe more than two reasons. And they are: one, limitations. The access in championships where I currently work have kind of spoiled us because you get to talk to drivers without a PR firewall. In the trackside photography, it's much more open than in F1. Two, travel. It's not the travel per se, more the waiting at the behest of others. Right now it's a case of I can just walk out the door, get in the car, drive for a track, get out of the car, and I'm there. I'd rather drive 5 hours than fly 1. 3, giving up what I've built. I haven't just landed a gig at the top end of British motorsport. I've spent a fucking decade busting my bollocks fucking literally to get here. Yeah, the video about the testicle damage, that's coming soon. 4, money. Have you seen how much a freelancer has to earn to cover everything, to pay bills and shit on top of that, which is great, unless you've got the money to buy your way in there. And let's face it, that has happened in F1 in journalism and photography. As a journalist, getting to F1 was originally the end game, but photography's changed my perspective on things. If I'm honest, F1's grown into a beast that I couldn't cope with as a journalist. 23 times a year travelling the world. No. Most of those countries have never heard of Greggs, so I'd be a right grumpy fuck at breakfast if I couldn't have my bacon sarnies. God, I would love the opportunity to get to shoot F1 at Silverstone. I'd love to do a video to compare what F1 photography there's like compared to other racing I shoot there, like touring cars, and that intrigues us. In an ideal world, a part-time job with an agency I think would be great. I mean, accredited legitimate like what I do now, not getting through on a jolly, working for an agency or an outlet or something. Right then. Okay, leave a comment. Would you shoot F1 full time if you had the chance? Would you? You could always click on like, as well as leaving a comment. You could subscribe, you could go and watch some of the other videos.